All right, boys and girls, I'm going to make another little quick tutorial for the next few weeks. I think this may be all I'm doing is doing stuff on my dad's iClone stuff. So what we have, I'm going to show you a couple things about getting the textures over. This isn't necessarily based on my script. In other words, if you have my script, that's fine. It'll do some good things. If you don't, I want to show you some things you need to know anyway. So this is a radio talk show thingy. I don't know what you want to call it. A set, I guess. Uh, anyway, it's we're going to bring it over into my program here, radio talk show. I'm going to drag that over, and for this particular session, I'm not going to break it up, even though this one actually is one that I really would want to break up into subprops because there's things like chairs and even the microphone stand and things that I want to be able to move around. But for right now, I'm not going to break it up into subprops. So it comes in. Remember, I've always told you that when you bring a thing in, whatever you're bringing in from anywhere, really, you want to zero it out so it zeroes it in the puts it in the exact center of the frame there. So you do that and it zeroes it out, and here we go. So there's a few things about this. We're going to run my routine, of course. I've already done this once, but we're going to do it again. My script in. And remember, if you guys want this script, all you have to do is write to me at kellytown.com. I'm sorry, that's my Mike. Yes, Mike at kellytown.com, and that's Kelley. So make sure that you get that extra E. I'm trying to do several things at the same time. So let's preload here. So this is the one we use in the script. So it's going to go ahead and do its thing now for a bit. As soon as the script starts running, it says starting, and then it pops out to whatever other window happens to be closest to it. I don't know why it does that. That's part of part of iClone's Python routine. Anyway, and this takes about a minute to run for. There's a lot of textures it's loading in for this. Sometimes my script works very efficiently. It just depends upon the textures, how many it has to downsize, how many it has to put into the routine. Some things take a long time, as we've shown you on this little cyborg guy who's now going to be hosting our radio show up here. Okay, so now it comes in, and you can already see that some textures immediately come in really good, like the shininess on the microphone and this emissive map on this. If we go into the actual modify itself, the textures, you'll be able to see that textures did get loaded in for a lot of materials here. So, excuse me, we got metallic and roughness, for example, on lots of different items here. So, brought in the bump maps and things. So, loaded up a lot of textures here, a lot of stuff. But it's still not as good as it can get. And that has nothing to do with my routine, but I wanted to let you guys know this is how you can improve your basic sets. So right now I have no lights except for I have a directional light coming into the scene. I've talked about lighting in the past. I don't really want to go into a lot of lighting, but for now we're going to just adjust some things that came over in DAZ that help with the lighting. And one of the main things you can see right away is this big sign. We're going to kind of sample that so we know what it is. So that's that screen there. And you can see it's got a glow map there. Really good. So that already came in. That's what you'd want. But it's not contributing any lighting to the scene. And as long as we have global illumination turned on, and as long as it fits that scene, and it does, so sometimes you have to make that bigger, then we can actually have it contribute to the lighting here by turning up the light there. And so you can see as I turn that up, that would be what illuminates the scene, and that's actually what it would happen in real life. You know, that big old honking light there would illuminate that. So that does help a little bit in illuminating that. That's not something we can transfer over from DAZ, but that's something that you can do yourself. Another thing on lights is if you go up to these lights up here, excuse me, we'll go up to these things here and sample them always to find out what these are, and they're called the filament. So those also can contribute some lights, and we always do that by by loading in the glow. So if I go to my template, I usually use for my glow textures, at least to start off with, I use the texture, and I use opacity maps a lot because I've talked about this in the past. If you use a gray glow opacity, then you can change the coloration on your thing by adjusting the color. So you can adjust the saturation high, and then you can get different colors for that. But I'm not going to do that right now. I just wanted to show you that's a possibility. Um, and then again, once again, you would add some illumination, and they would add some glow to the scene. Now it's kind of hard to see, but it will fill in a little bit of glow there. By the way, another trick for indoor scenes like this is I've created a camera already, and I made it a wide angle camera. Some of these indoor scenes, it's hard because if you back out too far, you get into the walls. So if you create a camera and set it for 20 millimeters or so, then it gives you ability to move around in the scenes. So we talked about the glow. If we turn around to the screen that the computer guy, I'm sorry, that the computer guy, that the Android guy is looking at. Oh, this screen over here. This is a good one here. Okay, so this screen here did come in with the right textures, and if we go ahead and go to look at it, you'll see that it loaded up the metallic and the roughness and the base color. But a computer screen like this would also have some kind of glow to it. So again, we can just load in an opacity map, and then that kind of makes it glow. And you can adjust it and turn it down, however you want. But that gives a kind of a glow to that computer screen, which you would normally see in real life. And again, to make it all perfect, you just add a little bit of illumination to that scene. It just helps sell the scene and make it realistic. Okay, so that's one computer screen, but there's another laptop over here. I want to show you a trick here. This laptop also is got textures on it, but in real life, as we all know from laptops, they have some glow to them. So we can't just load in a glow map, and we can if you do that. But the problem is this laptop is all one texture. You'll notice there's not a there's not a separate texture for the keyboards and the screen. It's all one big texture. So if we load it all in, it makes the keyboard glow as well as the screen and all that stuff. So how do we get around that? Well, one quick easy way is we can look at the metallic, and the metallic has black where that screen is, and everything else has some variation to it. Same for the roughness, black with that screen. So what we could do is we could take this texture and copy it into the texture for the laptop, and then go ahead and adjust it, and then just invert it. And so that way it gives us a very quick and easy way to get the screen glowing. It also makes the keys glow a little bit, but that's actually okay too. A lot of laptops have those illuminated keys. To do this perfectly properly, we would actually have to create our own maps. I'm going to show you that, and I think that's I'm going to show you one more thing after that, but we're going to show you this. So to do our own maps, here's a desk. This is this table. And you'll notice on this table, they've got these, I don't know if you can see theirs, but there's actually digits here because this is a glowing display here, but you can barely see it. There's no way to put a glowing map in. If we put a glowing map, I'll have the same problem with the laptop. It'll just glow the whole table thing. We don't want that. On the other hand, we can't use one of these maps because you can see all we really want to glow is this little red inside there, and there's just no way to do that. So what we have to do with this is we have to launch our paint program. In this particular case, I use Photoshop. And whatever you have as a paint program, what you're going to want to do is basically select this redness like that. And then if you do select inverse, and I'm going to edit, and basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a glow map that is only going to glow the light, the red part of that stuff. So now we do select inverse, edit, fill with white. Hopefully you understood what I did. I selected the red and then filled all the stuff that wasn't red with black, and then filled this with white. So then we go ahead, we're just going to export that as a PNG, and we'll do that to our desktop. I think I've already done this once, but we'll do it again. Yes. And now we come in here to this glow texture, and we're going to go to the desktop and load in that glow texture only. And that only glows then the display on there. So there's another way of quick and easy creating your glow maps. Now, last thing I want to show you is, and we talked about this a little bit in the internet, and we're going to keep talking about this over and over again. What we're doing in iClone is mostly a PBR texturing program. So you notice the shader types are all PBR. Yes, we do have traditional and human hair and the scatter, subsurface scatter, but by and large, 99% of the stuff you use other than hair is going to be PBR. That's what we want to try to convert the DAZ shaders into PBR. So that's why some of the maps sometimes won't be used because they don't have slots. Like there's no reflective slot here. There is on a traditional texture. However, sometimes you have to use traditional textures, or at least they work out better. And this is a really good example of it, this water bottle. Excuse me. So for water bottle transparency stuff, I nearly always use a traditional shader. The reason for that is it just looks a little better. If you turn on reflection, for example, see, get a little reflection, you can dial that back a little bit to make that look good. You can get specular, put that up there, and glossiness, just to get the right look for you, and then maybe even take opacity down a little bit. And then the same thing goes for the water inside of it. So we actually want to have the water liquid inside of that. And we want to make that traditional texture, traditional. And then we want to probably adjust the opacity, definitely, because it's water. I don't know why their water is weird. And you can bump up the specular and glossiness a little bit. You can figure out what you want to have. But you notice that looks a lot more realistic as a water bottle. You can, even if you really, it depends on your water, but you can even tint it a little bit, but I really wouldn't for a water bottle. But in any case, if you had some other liquid, like say it was drinking Gatorade or something, you could tint that with a very, very light blue. I wouldn't want to tint it too much. Yeah, that's okay. So in any case, that's the sort of things you're going to have to do even once you use my routine to attach textures. And hopefully this was helpful, and we will see you on the forums.